Hi there, we're standing next to the Thermo SB-230 that Artur Express has equipped their refrigerated division with. You'll notice that the control panel has a tilted down design, which is perfect for outside ambient conditions where there's a lot of sunlight. I mentioned in one of the previous videos the left two buttons over to the side here. The top one is the on button, the bottom one is the off button. This button over here is the manual defrost button, and the button down below is the start, stop, or cycle sentry button. These four keys across the bottom are tactile design, meaning that they're glove friendly. When you depress them, you actually feel a clicking button. When the unit is running, those buttons will correlate to a command on the screen. The best way to look at the control panel is it's user friendly like an ATM machine. What we're going to cover right here is the company has dispatched you to pick up a load. We're going to set a set point, and we're going to initiate a pre-trip of the unit. A pre-trip is very important because it ensures, if it passes a pre-trip, that the unit is fully functional. If it fails a pre-trip, you should contact the company to make sure they want you to proceed with putting a load on. They're probably going to ask you to tell them what alarm codes are stored in the unit. So if it fails a pre-trip and you go to pick up an alarm, well, they'll probably ask you what the alarm code is, and I'll cover that as well. I'm going to go ahead and turn the unit on. When it first starts up, you get the Thermo crown that displays on the screen. Basically, this is a microprocessor just like your laptop computer at home or desktop computer. It has to go through a startup mode where it's basically rebooting all the commands on the back of the relay boards. Right now it says configuring the system, please wait. When a unit comes up, the company has told you that they want you to haul a 34-degree set point load, and that's what we're going to enter in as a set point. Configuring system will display, depending on the ambient temperature outside, it could take 15 to 20 seconds because it's actually going through it. It's loading the languages in and loading all the properties of the set point. The unit right now is set for 35. The box temperature inside is 69 degrees. I'm pressing the button that says set point. I am going to scroll down 1 degree to 34. Very important that you hit the yes button to load the temperature. When you do that, it says programming new set point. Set point is now 34 degrees. The other thing that I mentioned we want to do is run a pre-trip. Come over to the menu button, the far right-hand button. The first one says alarms. We're going to scroll to the next button. It's data logger, hour meters, mode, pre-trip. When you see the word pre-trip, you hit the select button. Programming pre-trip mode. Now at this point you can just step back and let the microprocessor do its thing. You get back in your truck and start working on your logbook or whatever else you need to do as far as your pre-trip inspection before you leave the shipper. It's going to go through what is called 49 tests. Right now it's in test 1 of 49. Similar to what you would see if you were loading an update on your laptop computer or desktop computer at home. It will walk you through the different steps. This one happens to be a sensor check. A pre-trip generally will take somewhere in the 20 to 40 minute period. But basically it's checking all the electrical connections. It's going to start the unit up and run it on low speed and high speed, check the engine RPM. It's going to put it on a cool cycle and a heat cycle. It's actually going to measure the BTU capacity of the unit to make sure the unit is performing correctly. It will put it into a defrost cycle as well to test out the defrost cycle. Buzzer test is now doing a buzzer test to make sure the buzzer works for the start cycle. Preheat relay, it's now on test 3 of 49. In a few minutes here, it's going to go into a startup of the unit. It will start the unit up, as I mentioned, and run it through all of its cycles. Run relay test. As I mentioned, this is a good time maybe to walk around the trailer and just do a visual inspection of the trailer, check your tires, check the skirt to make sure it's good and tight. I also recommend that you open up the door on the back of the trailer and make sure that there's no debris. If there's wood chips or plastic, you need to get a broom up in there and sweep it out good and clean before you go put a load on, because that's going to affect the airflow of the unit as well too. We're now made it through about 16 of 49 tests. It's checking the liquid line solenoid. As I mentioned earlier, this is much like an ATM machine. It's going to prompt you across the screen and it's going to tell you what the unit is doing. It's very informative in that respect. It's checking the defrost damper right now, making sure the damper door is working correctly for defrost. Another critical thing as you're doing your pre-trip is make sure the fuel tank is full of fuel. You'd be surprised how many times we get call outs someone has picked up a trailer, has not checked the fuel level, put a load on it, and they've ran it out of fuel. Look at these little round buttons across the top here. They're used primarily by your technicians for testing the unit's performance, or a cargo watch. The cargo watch, if there was ever a load claim on the trailer, the company has the ability to do an actual download of the data logger and monitor what took place during the last 2 trips, 3 trips, or 6 trips. It will record up to about 90 days worth of temperature data on the microprocessor. The far right-hand one is called Service Watch, and its purpose not only is to record temperature performance, but also mechanical and electrical performance of the unit, so it will actually know if there was a problem, including if you ran the unit out of fuel. That will be recorded permanently on the data logger's records. The center port here says flash drive only. Obviously, it'll accept the standard flash drive that you can buy at Walmart or Office Depot, but the flash drive has to be formatted for it to work and interface with the thermoking unit. And the purpose of that is so you can upload any firmware software changes to the microprocessor and or download the data logger, service watch, and cargo watch I mentioned briefly a second ago. We're right now at 11 of 49. We're checking the liquid line valve. Another thing that you should do during the pre-trip inspection is also check the engine oil on the unit. We're going to cover that here in a couple seconds. On the side of the unit here, basically we have a sticker that shows you where the Central States locations are. There's 12 of them around the country. There's phone numbers on there for them as well too. But once again, if you have a problem, you need to come back to the company and ask the company before you take them to a dealer. We're just about halfway through the test right now. The engine is now going to start up and run. I will walk closer to the microphones for hearing purposes here. But the unit is going to go ahead and start up as I mentioned earlier, and it's going to check high-speed operation, low-speed operation. It's going to check cooling capacity. It's going to check heating capacity. It'll check the manual defrost. It will systematically check all the electrical circuits. The buzzer is announcing that the unit is about to start, and it's an alert to make sure that people have their hands removed from inside the cabin in case someone happened to be inside there working. The unit started up and it's in a defrost cycle. It's currently checking the defrost cycle of the unit. Thermoking units have a whisper designed cabinetry, so even though the unit is running, we're still able to stand here and talk in a normal tone of voice. We're currently at test 38 out of 49. Still in the process of pre-cooling the box down. One of the first things that we did was we reset the new set point. The unit is continuing to circulate air and cool the temperature down inside the trailer. Currently it's testing the heat cycle of the unit. The screen will announce now that it's past the pre-trip, which means the unit is fully functional. One of the things that I mentioned earlier that we're going to talk about was how to select the cycle sentry start-stop key. The company has picked up a load that does not require continuous air circulation. Continuous air circulation would be plants or produce, any high heat or respirating type of product. But if it's like boxed meat or something like that, the company may tell you run the unit on start-stop mode. I'm going to walk over and initiate the cycle sentry. appears to be like Mickey Mouse ears inside the circle. That indicates that the unit is on start-stop mode. I'll go back and turn it off with start-stop, and you'll notice the icon goes out. Just to the left of the box temperature, you'll see a little arrow pointing downward. That means that the unit is in the cool position and the temperature is going down. If we had the unit set for a heat cycle, it would have been the arrow going up and it would be heat. Earlier, the top right-hand button was the manual defrost button. The coil has to be cold enough for the unit to initiate, and if it's not, it will not go in defrost. But in this case, the coil was cold enough that I was able to initiate the manual defrost button, and it's displayed that on the screen. You'll also notice that there's a bar box kind of in the center there. It will give you a visual display as the unit is going through its defrost cycle. The other thing that I tell people during driver training is, when you go in for a coffee break at the truck stop, it's a good idea to put the unit into manual defrost. And then when you come back out, take a look and see how much water has come out of the drain tubes, which I will walk over and show you.